But what was I getting to? So let's speculate. Let's pick and choose. We're going to pick any 10 or 20 year time period that we would like to see this actually. I know that they chose 5-7 years after Return of the Jedi, which is fine. If they're smart, they would bring Han, Luke, and Leia as young versions of themselves and just have them all recast. They have Sebastian Stan. Effing do it. You have Sebastian Stan. He looks exactly like Luke Skywalker. I mean, and he's the perfect age, too. Like, right after Return of the Jedi, you would be literally doing yourself a disservice by not doing it. You get Han, Luke, and Leia, recast them, and put them back in a movie, or not a movie, but a series.
I still think, afterwards, the Battle of Endor, it's peacetime, it's boring. That's the thing. Like, light side, I don't know if you guys know, it's boring. Like, it's not anything interesting. Like, once everything's at peace, it's just like, it's chill. There's not much going on.
But so,
they have to have a good period of peace for, like, 10 years or so, and that's exactly when they're casting this thing. I want to see 5, maybe 10 years before the real rise of the New Order. That's whenever we're going to see Knights of Ren. That's when we're going to see, like, Luke, training all of them and everything going awry. I mean, that's the time, not... 10 years after the Battle of Endor?
So I think if, once again, it's Favreau, and he understands good story, I think whatever he does, he'll do it well. But it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, if they're going to win the fans back, it's going to be tough. It'll be tough for him to be like, okay, let's make this crap interesting. Like, apparently he's got about 7 episodes already written. Apparently. This is what's, apparently Favreau does have them. And so, which is awesome, but it's like, hopefully they're good, and hopefully they struggle with the dark side. Hopefully there's dark and light side stuff happening, because honestly, I mean, I know we haven't really seen that. We haven't seen the fun, and like you were saying, that struggle with dark and light, that is fun. That's what makes Star Wars fun. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But just let's go back to what I was saying about speculating. If you were to say, Favreau, hey man, let's not do it at the time period. Let's do it a different time period. So you're saying 20 years after?
Yeah, like about 5 to 10 years before The Force Awakens.
Okay.
Because it felt rushed. Force Awakens, it was suddenly like, oh, there's even a bigger Death Star now, and there's like a huge force. It's just as formidable as the Empire. Yeah. Where did this all come from? So I'd like to see the real rise of that.
Yeah, how the hell did they build that Starkiller base? Like, what?
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is kind of an interesting thing. It is interesting.
Or the Kotar, or like back.
I was gonna say, or if you just went way back.
Yeah, Old Republic.
So is that what
awesome.
Is that your vote? What do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say it would be cool to see before all.
Way before.
Like maybe even before Yoda, like.
No, so I would like to see Old Republic with a little Yoda. I'd like to see some Yoda in his formative age, maybe as like a young Jedi, like apprentice even. Not like main story, but just like complementing the Old Republic. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kaya Mundi says in episode 1, the Sith has been extinct for a millennium, though. It's like, that's such a contradicting phrase, though.
Yeah, wow.
You know?
Well, so... Wait, so
Sith
who's...
has been extinct for a millennium. God, and Kaya Mundi.
As far as he knows, the Jedi Council's pretty unaware of what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, because they get taken over completely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it does make me think about D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. I mean, the guys from... I mean, they do have them on. They're going to be... apparently, they're going to make some films. We don't know what they are, of course, yet, or have any clue as to what they are. But I mean, that's. I mean, the guys from Game of Thrones. If you appreciate the awesome storytelling that is Game of Thrones, these guys, they delved into these books that weren't even finished yet, and they made it an awesome series. If you can picture that type of thing happening in Star Wars, I think this literally could bring the fan base back and deciding that the films are not the way to go, and these shows are, or whatever it is that they end up doing. I, for one, if those guys make something, that's the one thing that I actually am very interested about, because they're going to make, first of all, I don't think this will happen, but it's a possibility of making rated R Star Wars, which leads to believing that there could actually end. Which means, quite honestly, if you're gonna make a Vader film, that's a rated R movie. That's a rated R movie.
Or a Boba Fett film, which they've been needing to do for a long time.
Yeah, but
they've been talking about it, but that should be rated R too. As a bounty hunter.
Well, and that has been announced, and I honestly don't think that's gonna happen. But if it ends up happening, then that'll be something.
It's a crying shame if they don't do that. You know, Boba Fett initially, whenever they were first conceiving Star Wars, was supposed to be one of the main characters. Whenever he had only a white costume. You ever see Boba Fett only in white?
I did see that. The Mandalorian armor in white.
He was supposed to be one of the main characters in the whole story, and he just got tossed to the side.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. That's crazy.
So it's been a long time coming for him to have his own thing.
That's actually funny because that he was supposed to be a main character and he ended up just being a side character. But when you talk about the toys too, like he was like according to the toys, when the toy market was going, he was the most popular toy. Period.
Well, if you follow the extended universe, he got out of the Sarlacc pit and he fell back in and climbed out again. True story.
What?
True story. Look it up on Wikipedia.
That's insane.
Yeah, the extended universe, he climbs out and then someone puts him back in. It's like, we're gonna throw you back in the pit, and he climbs out again because the Mandalorian armor doesn't dissolve by the Sarlacc's acid.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what it was saying.
Oh, okay. Too bad that stuff isn't canon.
I played Warhammer for 10 years, and there was a time in Warhammer where the official rules of the time were very important, and everybody was true to the canon essentially. But they bastardized their own company. Is what they did. They began to care more about the money than the players, and they watered down the game. It became much more simple and appealed to the masses, but it lost a lot of its intelligence and a lot of its appeal. The same is happening with Star Wars, and you're going to see the same exact thing happening.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. It's almost like, dude, I liked Star Wars when it wasn't cool. You know what I mean? Like when Star Wars was like, man, you're a nerd, holy cow. And now it's like a cool thing. Yeah. It's like, oh, I know Star Wars. It's like, dude, it's like Cody. You're watching out there. I know you haven't seen all the videos. We called it on the podcast when I was like, yeah, like Han shot first. And he was like, what? And it was like, whoa, okay.
There's just a lot of people who and we've
jumped on board the Star Wars,
and that's fine, man. We're glad that other people like it, but it's like you gotta, if you're gonna claim, claim it, and do it for real. Yeah. Don't just be half in there. Jump all the way in and really care about it and love it and embrace.
I know why we would be pissed off that they made Luke that way. I feel like everyone who's like, Luke, it's fine. It's like those are the people that didn't.
They don't get
really.
it.
Yeah.
That was a big disappointment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a darn shame. But yeah, it does make you wonder what's going to happen. There's so many people. I mean, I am dying to know what's actually going through the heads of these CEOs and Bob Iger and everybody, the head of Disney. It's like they're probably. I mean, I hope they're saying to themselves, "How the hell did this happen?" And I guess because it's literally they've lost so much money on Han Solo, and I'm not attributing it to, all of the of course the boycott is not the only reason. Of course, I get that, but it's a big chunk of it. The boycott was a very large sum of it. Honestly, my personal opinion is they should have hit that $160, $170 mark by opening weekend. If there was no boycott, they would have. It may have had a serious drop-off, and it may still have made not nearly as much money as all the other Star Wars films. It may have still been the lowest in box office, but honestly, they still would have made their money back. And now they're $80 million in debt from it.
So I guess that goes into the whole the canon thing. Is these days I don't feel like there needs to be as much stock in what's canon and what's not canon within Star Wars.
So you're saying
they took the torch and they dropped it, who cares what they think is canon, I mean, honestly, it's up to us now as the real fans of Star Wars to take it and run with it. Like the expanded universe, let's, fan fiction, all that kind of stuff, I think should take more precedence because we care
Obviously,
about it enough
Disney's
to
not
like,
doing good.
yeah.
But quite honestly, the people that are running it right now don't even understand that. Like they don't
Right.
even know. Like the people that are running the story group probably haven't even really watched Rebels or Clone Wars. That's the problem, is that they don't really even know.
Didn't they have consultants from Rebels on the new film though? I thought they did.
I'm sure they did, but
I'm sure they did.
But I mean, do you think? I mean, Ron Howard was the one who directed that. Do you think he's ever seen an episode of Rebels? Hell no.
Definitely not.
Hell no.
And that's my point. If people that don't really care about Star Wars are the ones that are moving forward the canon, then why should we put any kind of real stock in the canon anymore?